Hey there, I am Josie Stiles, and I am a second grade teacher at Burleson Elementary School in Hartselle, Alabama. And I wanted to share with you what I do as far as this activity goes. I always incorporate books into math, especially. So this week I introduced geometry. We were talking about, as we begin the chapter, we're talking about three-dimensional shapes. So to do that, children, they're used to seeing squares and triangles and all that, but then you start digging a little deeper and they learn these three-dimensional shapes. But to introduce it in a fun way, this is the book I read. And this is actually the book I read in the classroom, and it just worked out that I knew this chapter was coming up in math, so I brought it home for our distance learning that was going to be going on. So like I said, this is the same thing I would do if I were in the classroom or teaching virtually from home. And as I do this, each student, they have their hands-on shapes. So like I said, we're talking about geometry. The first thing they get their triangles, their squares, and then we start talking about how when it's three-dimensional, that triangle becomes a cone, or that circle becomes a sphere, how it's the three-dimensional shape. But like I said, introducing it, I always read the greedy triangle. Like I said, this works with second grade, but also when I did my internship teaching fourth grade, it was also something that teacher recommended that she always did in fourth grade for her students. And it's just a fun read, and it talks about the different sides. Like a triangle, they're talking about the prefix tri, three-sided shape. And it continues all the way up to, a dodecagon, a 12-sided shape. So anyway, I've just always felt that the most bang for your buck with teaching, always incorporate a book with it. And that's not just for this class. This is simply the way I teach. I enjoy it. I think the children enjoy it. It gives them a better understanding of making those real world connections. So anyway, The Greedy Triangle by Marilyn Burns. And I'll just read a few pages for you to, maybe you'll add it to your library too. And like I said, it's a fun read. It talks about going to the shapeshifter and poof, they added another side and it no longer got bored. But like I said, I always try to teach children that to look for these shapes in their everyday lives. When you have your sandwich, you cut it in half. Do you want it triangles or do you want it squares? Same thing with a book. We're talking about a piece of pie. When you put your hand on your hip, you've got a triangle now inside that area on your hip. So as the book goes, once there was a triangle that was, as most triangles are, always busy. The triangle spent its time holding up roofs, supporting bridges, making music in a symphony orchestra, catching the wind for sailboats, being slices of pie and halves of sandwiches, and much, much more. And you can see the different shapes there. And I think it really helps children look for those shapes in our everyday lives. The triangle's favorite thing, however, was to slip into place when people put their hands on their hips. That way I always hear the latest news, it said, which I can tell my friends. The triangle's friends liked hearing the news. And again, they're always incorporating more shapes into those pictures. And it's a very colorful, fun read for the children. So I'm not going to read the whole book for you. Add it to your classroom library if you have not. And also, like I said, incorporating the shapes, like I brought the shapes home with me. And usually I have children, this would be my activity, they would have their own set of shapes that we would make and discuss as we read the stories. So again, just a fun activity that I usually do anyway, not just for this class. You know, you make the, you have a cylinder. What do we have in our classroom that is like a cylinder? And usually they'll tell you a glue stick, because a glue stick is the most similar to this cylinder, but also a pencil and other shapes such as that, or other items such as that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe it'll be something applicable for you in your classroom. And hope you enjoyed. Thank you.